Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started while a few others join here on the line. My name is Jamie Terrell. I lead marketing and communications here at Saltmarsh. We appreciate you being here with us today for our webinar on accounting innovation. Technology is, of course, revolutionizing the way that we work together and manage our business. And of course, our accounting systems are no different. Today, more than ever, it seems companies are focused on driving efficiency. They want their systems to deliver the kinds of insights and information that will allow them to remain competitive and financially healthy. The good news is there have been major advancements offering more access than ever for businesses looking to streamline their processes and integrate systems for improved reporting and data. So we're happy today to have our own resident expert in this area, shareholder Glenn Scharf, here to talk us through some of these functions, what these systems can support, as well as several considerations you should account for when determining the best fit for your specific business needs. Before we get started, just a few quick housekeeping items to address. First, everyone on the line has been muted. If you do have questions throughout, please do feel free to share them with us in the chat. If we do have time toward the end of our presentation, we'll address some of your questions together. And if you do share questions and we're not able to get to them before we close out, know that someone from our team will reach out to you directly, make sure that question gets answered. We'll have Glenn's contact information in the slides as well if you'd like to reach out to him. Of course, you're always welcome to contact any member of our Saltmarsh team for additional guidance following today's webinar. Our presentation is being recorded and you'll receive a recap email from us tomorrow along with a copy of the slides, and in that same email you'll see a link to complete a short survey. Please take a moment to let us know your feedback and let us know also if there are any additional topics you'd like us to cover in future webinars. So with that, I'll hand things over to Glenn Scharf, tax, shareholder, and leader of our outsourced accounting solutions here at Saltmarsh to get us started. Glenn?
Oh, thanks, Jamie. Really appreciate that intro. Hi, everyone. Like I said, my name is Glenn Scharf. I do lead up our outsourced accounting services department, and the accounting automation and innovation space is becoming more and more important for companies to really move forward in their business and really understand more of their business. So, today we're going to go through a few things. My learning objectives for you today are: where are we right now? So it's important to understand where we are right now, and then where do we want to be? What is that ideal accounting department? And then how do we get there? And then I'm going to share some of the tools, and ideas that we bring to the table in order for companies to really operate more efficiently. This is really a broad view of accounting and automation. Each organization is different, so it's really hard to cover everything for everyone. But there is something for everyone, no matter the size of the organization. And really, this is just a very basic overall, look at what we can do. And it's just putting the possibilities out there for you. There's so many more things that you can do, and it on how much money you want to spend in order to get there. So, but that's certainly, dependent upon the size of the organization. I do want to mention I've got Jeannie Profito, one of our managers in our outsourced accounting department. She is managing the chat. So certainly if you have any questions that she can answer during the presentation on chat, or we can also address some of those at the end as well. So where are we right now? We are in a very unprecedented time. As Fred Flintstone there says, some of us are still in the Stone Ages when it comes to our accounting processes and procedures. Not necessarily from doing that on purpose. It's just from a lack of knowledge as to what's available to them. Certainly, as we adapt and as things become more and more online or more innovative and things like that, we have to learn how to use the same software over and over again sometimes because of the features that are added. So where are we right now? I've got four main headings: manual processes, paper processes, old communication processes, and old reporting. And these are kind of the four main categories that I have. And you can see some of these subcategories on here under manual processes. I've got AP and AR. So are you still, getting invoices in the mail? Are you still, doing things like that? Are you your paper process? Are you still sending out paper checks? Are your expense reports still doing Excel based and people are emailing attachments and spreadsheets and things like that? Your communication processes, and I mean your accounting communications. It can be anything from email to multiple accounting systems, so that are not integrated. So is your POS system integrated with your accounting system? Things like that. And then finally, and really the one of the most important things that you can get out of your accounting system is your financial reporting. And the old reporting is the financial statements. And I know that sounds funny, but really the financial statements are very untimely. So typically, if you want to do a month-end close or something like that, well, what happened during that month to get you to the month end? That's really what we want to know. Is we want more timely, and so they're also incomprehensible to some people. Some people just don't understand financial statements. Now they understand other things like sales, or they understand payroll, what that cost is to their business, but they don't understand a financial statement overall. So those are kind of the things that we're doing. So what I'd like you to do right now is in the chat of these 4 main head categories, okay, just type in one that's your biggest, your biggest headache. And I'd just like to get a feel from the room of, where everyone is at and just kind of, I'm just interested to see what that is before we go on. Manual processes, I see. Old reporting, multiple accounting systems. Okay. Manual processes. Great. All right. Well, just keep those coming. So now the idea is, where do we want to be? This is an ideal world situation. So completely automated, everything works together. So even your POS systems, your e-commerce transactions, your inventory tracking, your payroll, all of these things come together in one single place so that you can have a grand view of your reporting on for your business in a much more timely manner. So we've got that integrated accounting system. So as you can see here, we've moved from the Flintstones to the Jetsons. You've got that core technology. So everything's surrounded by that core technology. And what I mean by that is your accounting package. So what accounting package are you going to choose, and then build around that so that you can automate these processes that go with it. Typically, they're cloud-based. We're seeing a much bigger move to cloud-based accounting systems, and really all of the integrated applications that come with them. Those are really important piece of the puzzle. So these, one system does all type things are kind of really coming out of the wayside, and we're really getting into specialized different apps. Just like you have on your phone, you've got specialized apps that do something, and they may interact with other things. And so that's what you're looking for from this core technology. Then you have to look at your processes, okay? What can you automate? Can you use artificial intelligence? I was just reading something on robotic automatic processing. And so, and I know that sounds weird in using robots, but they're electronic robots, not like what you see in our manufacturing line. But it's things that you can overlay on top of other systems in order to really automate things. Now that's in a much bigger world in Fortune 500 companies and things like that. But we're going to talk about automation, just how it applies in our everyday lives. And then really from a process standpoint, you want either a single touch point for data or a no touch point for data in trying to get that data into your system. And then finally, reporting. What do we want to see? What's important to us? And I mentioned these dashboards that you can see just right away, an immediate picture of where you are. And so if you keep up with this automation in your processing for all of your accounting needs, then you can have much more real time, and I hate using that word, I usually use the word more timely information, because there may be a day or two lag or something like that, but you're getting much more timely information in order to really get those things that you need in order to run your business. And what we see on these dashboards are your KPIs, your key performance indicators, okay? So one industry may be very, your key indicator may be payroll, another may be inventory, another may be just sales. So it just depends on what industry you are in order to tailor-made these KPIs and these dashboard reportings directly for you. So how do we get there? Okay, so nobody wants to stay in the Stone Ages, and there's a funny story about this cartoon and the dinosaur cutting the grass. My daughter made a joke to me the other day. She says, "Dad, I either want a pony, or a goat." And I said, "Well, why?" And she said, "Well," I said, "No, of course." And she said, "But Dad, it'll cut the grass. We won't need a lawnmower." And I said, "Well, that's great." I gave her the option. Cut the grass once a week, or clean up after the donkey or the horse or the goat every day. Of course, she didn't come back with a response for that, but I'm pretty sure she'd choose cutting the grass once a week over that. But that's really, what the efficiency of the process. It may look efficient, but when you get through all the way through, that it may not be. So you have to be open-minded. That's the very first thing that we want to do in this space, is be open-minded. You've got to be able to embrace technology. Okay, all of this is technology driven. And so you want people in your organization that will embrace technology. You need a champion, someone who's willing to take ownership of this. It also means that they will continue to move the organization forward. So it's not like one of these, okay, let's do this and we're done. You have to keep looking at this on a regular basis in order to take advantage of maybe new features that are within a software program, or maybe somewhere down the line, switching to a different program, and becoming more and more automated. So that's really, one of the things that we want to keep in mind, is that this is a perpetual process. One of the pre-questions that I got for this webinar asked me, what's changed in the accounting world in the last 15 years? Well, I don't think we have enough time to go through that, but just keep in mind that, in regular everyday life, and to put this in perspective, the iPhone came out in 2007. So 15 years ago was 2005. So really, we've got a lot that has happened over the last 15 to 20 years in technology and how it's improved our lives. And so now we want to instill that within our accounting function. So really, analyzing the current process is really the first key to moving forward. If you don't understand where you are right now, it's hard to know what to change. So you need to document everything that's in the process, no matter how small. And really, you have to understand and ask the whys and the whats. Why do we do this? What's the value in doing this? A lot of times I talk to people and they go, well, we do this report every month. And I go, well, why do you do that? And they said, I don't know. I've always done it that way. And so we have to ask that why and what, in order to understand, okay, what do I want to be at? What's important to me? And so you really need to involve everyone in the process. So it's not just, the business owner that's saying, okay, let's do it all this way. Okay, he may not know the process of what the bookkeeper goes through, or the CFO, or the controller, or the different things between AP and AR and how things are moved around, what we do with bank accounts and bank reconciliations, and all of those things that come into play in order to document that current process. And then finally, we've got change management. That's a big thing in this automation space, is change management. So first of all, hopefully you're going to pick up a lot of free time, a lot of hours that you've been spending on repetitive tasks or data entry tasks and things like that. And so you may have to look at how people perform in your organization, and you may be able to allocate different responsibilities to them that are more valuable to the company, as opposed to someone that's doing data entry. And so you may have to repurpose, and who couldn't use more hours? How many times have you said, well, we just haven't had time to get to that? Well, this is the time. These are the things that we can free up for you, so that you have people in order to get to those things that you just can't get to, that would really move your business forward, but you're so bogged down in some of these repetitive motions that it's really important to understand, how do we change? And then understand that, hey, you're not necessarily going to implement technology that's going to replace you. And so that's important for people to understand in this process, that they may have a different job at the end of the day after we do all of this. So how do we get there? It really, the very first thing that you need to do is determine your wants and needs. And when I say this, I want you to reach for the sky on this one, okay? Remember that this is a work in process. This is not just a one and done type activity, like I've said before, and there has to be a plan and a method to the madness. You want to identify all of these areas that you want to address so that you can find the compatible parts, all right? So just think about, a good example is a smart home feature, okay? I just moved into a new house and I'm implementing a lot of these smart devices, from TVs to light switches to, my oven. And so we're kind of an Alexa house. And so certainly, as we've gone along, there are some technologies that talk to Alexa and some technologies that don't. Some that use Google Assistant. Well, I don't want to buy the ones that, only talk to Google Assistant if I'm using Alexa. And so you kind of got to think of it in this perspective, so that you want to stick to one and then expand from there. So really the same concept here is, once again, around that core accounting system that I was talking about, is that's your quote unquote, your Alexa. And so you want everything to get, talking to it from that. So what are your needs? What are your wants? Everything from reporting, from budgeting, payroll, expense and cash management, paperless management, document management. We've got a whole new thinking on that, because all of this stuff that you've got cabinets and drawer full of paper documents, what do you do with those? You have to keep documents for 7 years for IRS tax purposes. Well, now instead of putting them in, boxes or something, they're going to be stored electronically. And then finally, those niche industry specific things that may be specific to your business. Okay. Are you a manufacturer where you have to track inventory? Do you have a lot of e-commerce transactions? Are you in construction and need job costing? Do you have a POS system? Do you need field service, which is, if you have an air conditioning business and you've got, people out in the field, do you want to know where they are, what they're doing? Those type of things that can all be integrated together, so that you have, you can, if you send somebody, if you're tracking inventory, you want it to move directly into your accounting system. So you want to know exactly what you're doing at all times. So these are the things that we have to determine of what do you want and what your needs are for your business in order to move forward. Now, the Jetsons cartoon, they came out, I think, in the 80s. Look at this, the watch that he has. It took us, about 30 more years to figure out how to do that. There's quite a few inventions within that cartoon series, if you've never seen the Jetsons, that really have come to fruition in today's environment. And in fact, one of the things that we're doing right now, these video conferencing, they had that in that series. And so, we're all progressing into the future. And so these are the steps that we want to take, and how do we get there? All right, so now now the details. How do we get there? Technology is your friend, okay? So this is going to be really the nuts and bolts of where we are and going forward. You really want to start with that core accounting system. And so some of these web-based technologies, and these are the only software pieces that I'll mention in the entire presentation, okay? We've got QuickBooks Online, Sage, NetSuite, Xero, Microsoft Dynamics. There's a whole bunch more out there as well. There's also, depending on your industry, there could be specific industry accounting packages that you may want to look at. But once you get into more of those specific type of industry things, you have less and less integrations if you have to go outside of that accounting package. So you want to make sure that you get the level of features that you want out of a particular piece of software. Some have better things than others, better reporting packages, better, depending on what you are. Okay. Now, the key thing here is that, the larger the companies have, the more needs that you'll have. And so smaller companies may have smaller needs. Now, you also want to be able to grow with these situations. So you have to take a very simplistic view in order to add on technology. you know, that phrase, there's an app for that. Well, there's nothing more in this space than that saying. You know, in QuickBooks Online, which we use heavily, that they have a whole suite of products in their app directory that you can add in that can help you run your business. And a lot of these features that I'm going to go through in the next few slides really concentrate on these types of features that you can add into your accounting system to save you a lot of time and a lot of energy. Sorry about that. Okay, so what we want to do is integrated automation. Okay, we want our systems to be integrated. The very first one, let's talk about the low-hanging fruit. This one applies to everyone. Everyone has to pay bills. So is there a better way? You know, we talked about that. Okay, you get the bill in the mail, you give it to your accounting department. They enter it into QuickBooks, then they print a check out for you to sign, and then it's got to be approved. And if you have multiple signatures that you have to get, then you have to chase people down. Or even if you're bill paying online at your bank, okay, there's still a better way. And this AP automation is really the way it is. And let me explain how it works. Okay, so you'll have a special email that all your vendors will send all their invoices to. So, and if they don't, let's say they're more in the Stone Ages than you are, if they say, well, I can't even email an invoice, I have to mail it out. That's great. It's like, okay, well, you can scan it in your office and send it to that email as well. So you don't ever have to, sit there and type in. And what happens is that invoice is read. There's a complete image of that invoice that is in the system. The invoice can be automatically coded. So for example, if your electric bill comes in and it goes to utilities every month, that software will know, hey, it's going to go to utilities, and you don't even have to do the coding on it. Then when you're talking about approvals and things like that, all the approvals are done electronically. So for example, if somebody has processed that a whole bunch of invoices for you to approve, they can send it to you. You can open up your phone. So if you're out playing golf or you're on vacation or whatever, and you still need to pay bills, you can do that right from your phone. It's a one-touch payment. You just click on the items that you want, and then you can approve those bills for either for someone else to pay them, or actually press the button for them to be paid electronically. And so that's the key, is these one-touch payments. They're either going to go by an ACH or an e-check. Like I said, you can do it on a mobile device. And really your vendors are the ones that choose how they get paid. So you invite your vendor through this system to join the network. And what they do is they can go in and say, okay, great, I'm going to send my invoice to you, and this is how I want to get paid. I want to get paid from ACH. So they'll put in their banking information so that you don't ever have to keep track of that. You don't ever see it, and it's very secure on their end from how they're getting paid. So they don't have to give their bank account routing number out to anybody. So it's really a very secure way to do payables. It stores all the documents electronically with links to your payments and things like that. So you never have to go and pull an invoice and see what that was for or something like that, because there's not enough detail. I know in QuickBooks, for example, I mean, if you don't have those line item details, you just have a bill. Well, here you get the line item details that you need, and you can really understand, where at the push of a button everything is, and what was paid, what wasn't paid. And it's really a very, very good technique. And then all of this, of course, integrated with your core accounting system. So on a daily basis, you can see the cash flow, what's going in out of your business, and understand, okay, and have more control over when things are paid. Because not only as a manager are you going to be able to see, something that's ready to be paid, you'll also be seeing what the due date of that payment is, so you can better manage your cash flow. So you're not having to pay bills as soon as they come in, or wait to see which one I want to pay. If you don't want to pay one right now, you skip over it. It'll show up in your list the next time. So it's really very easy, very slick, very easy to implement. and it really gives that automation on the front end of that AP. Okay, so AR, fairly similar. You know, when you get that digital invoicing, so invoicing can be sent through an email, and then along with that, though, you know, a lot of us are already sending invoicing to emails, but the problem is how are you getting paid? So, for example, you can be paid by ACH, you can get paid by an e-check. ACH is the most cost-effective way to get paid. So if you have that option, so you're not having to process any checks, you're not having to pay any credit card fees. So those are the types of things that you want to be able to get paid from your customers in order to have a most efficient process. Once again, documents are stored electronically. And then the key thing is auto reminders. Okay, so you can set it so that your clients get an email update every 10 days or every 20 days or however you want to do it. So it says, hey, you have this outstanding invoice. And I know it's really small, but right here, this blue bar, this is an example of an email that they would get. And in this blue bar, it says pay invoice electronically. So to me, you know, that's a really great way in order to do that. They would be logging into a system, once again, initiating that ACH. It's going to match up that payment with your invoice. So you don't have to do that manually, either when you wait to get checks or if they're even paying through ACH and you only see it in your bank account. Okay, this is all encompassing where it is going to be matched and then once again integrated to your core accounting system. So once again, you're going to have daily updates on, okay, what's my receivables, what's my cash flow coming in and out of the business. All right, payroll, you know, this one can be painful. You know, it just depends on your situation. Payroll can be relatively simple, but very complex. You know, if you're doing job costing, it can be very complex when it comes to payroll. If you've got 8 people that are on salary and all you're doing is the same payroll every month, then it can be very simple. You really need to do your homework with the different payroll companies that are out there and what their capabilities are. And you do want to find one that's going to integrate with your accounting system. And so the integration can take place in multiple ways, whether it's an upload directly from their website, or it could be as easy as a journal entry that's sent to you and to your accounting system. You don't really need the day-to-day payroll entries in your core accounting system because the payroll company or the payroll system that you use is going to have all that data. So it's not something that you're looking for to see in both places. Remember that accounting package is very different than what you've had in the past. And these cloud accounting packages are not comparable to what you've been using in the past. So for example, a lot of people compare QuickBooks Online to QuickBooks Desktop. And they go, well, they're so different, you know, that QuickBooks Online doesn't have as much. And it's like, well, it's not meant to have as much. And so QuickBooks Online is really meant to be integrated with all these different sub applications in order to run an accounting department more efficiently. So you really have to be sure what you're doing. And once again, in this payroll space, making sure that that specific payroll company can integrate with your accounting system one way or another, whether you're, even if it's just a journal entry that you can import into your accounting system, that's fine. Okay, so 30 minutes left. We got plenty of time. I know I'm going quick, but I want to make sure that I get all this covered for you. Next is the expense reports and cash management. I'll tell you, it is time to ditch those manual expense reports, the Excel expense reports. There's no more saving receipts for a month, you know, in your pocket. They get all wrinkled or they get lost. You know, this is a system where you can just take a picture on your phone and it's uploaded to the system. So it's all cloud-based technology. So a lot of expense reports come from travel. And so when you're on the go, especially with, you know, meal receipts or, you know, hotel receipts, you can just take a picture of them. If you're too big to do that, you can scan them later if you want. that, so it's creating the expense report for you. It'll know that, McDonald's is a restaurant, and it'll code it to meals and entertainment. It can be that sophisticated so that it's really more of a record keeping process, and making sure that, hey, you're using your phone and taking pictures and doing all that kind of stuff out in the field as it happens, as opposed to trying to do it month and looking at your credit card statement and things like that. So that receipt capture is very, very important, especially when it comes to approving expense reports. So now what happens is that if you submit an expense report, then your manager goes online into the program, reviews your expense report, and then sees all the different invoices or receipts that you have. It sees everything that you've submitted with your expense report. And then once they approve it, then it goes directly into the payroll system, and the payroll system will, include it in your check, or however you do that within getting paid back for expense reports. The other thing that you can do that I'm seeing more and more of is having these debit cards that can go with these expense management platforms. And what the debit cards do, it's a very powerful thing. So for example, let's say you have a department that has a predetermined spending limit. So, hey, Jamie, your marketing budget next year is $5,000. So I can go and say, okay, I'm going to give you this debit card. It has $5,000 on it. And it's also in the software going to track every dollar that you spend. And it's going to tell you how much you have left all throughout the year. And so that you can manage your budget in what you want to do within your department. And so it's really an easy way to allocate funds to something and with a predetermined limit, so that everyone knows what the expectations are. And so at the end of the year, you don't have to go, why are you $5,000 over budget? And the thing is that they wouldn't have been able to do that with this system, because they wouldn't have been able to use the debit card past their $10,000 limit. Yeah, and it's easy as a click of a button to add money to these things and subtract money to these things. It's really easy. You can also do virtual cards. So if you do a lot of online spending, that you don't have to use your physical debit card in order to, to do that, because the virtual cards now are becoming more and more popular. I know I've gotten one from my bank just for everyday life. So introducing that into the business world, it's a much safer product in order to do that, because you can change that virtual card at any time, as opposed to a card number. If it gets stolen or whatever, you have to go through the process of, canceling it and things like that. These systems are also very easy to add people to it. You don't, like, for example, I know when I go to the bank and say, hey, I need company credit cards, then it may be a question of, okay, everyone's got to sign, everyone's got to show ID, that the cards are in their names. This system is, you can get a debit card, it literally almost overnight sent to a new person. So if you've got a person just starting, you're going in, you're creating the card, you're sending it to the person. And it is, I believe in this case, this one that I have up is MasterCard related. So it's accepted anywhere MasterCard is accepted. So they're very widely used. So that's really, expense reports and cash management, on how we can integrate that into the accounting system and the accounting process without having to do all this manual processing that you have going on with these Excel spreadsheets and things like that. Okay, integrated automation reporting. This is where we really get into the nuts and bolts of running the business. Your change in reporting can be the most impactful thing that you can do for your business. Going to a KPI driven reporting system where you can focus on what drives profitability for your company is much more valuable than getting financial statements on a monthly basis. So certainly financial statements on a monthly basis, on a regular basis, are good for your business. So it gives you certainly a way to manage it, but you want to be able to use the information on a daily basis so that you can get quick hits and see where problems are before they become problems. So all of a sudden, you see these trends in expenses, a certain expense. You can do all these different types of things and not have to wait until the end of the month to do it. So this is kind of a dashboard. I know it's really hard to see, it's small, but you can see the types of reporting and graphs that are available in these dashboards, and they're all KPI driven, okay? So for example, you know, you've got over here on the right, I think this is like a revenue analysis. You've got, you know, different things that you can tell from a graph standpoint. So you're getting a picture of what your company is doing and not necessarily having to analyze it from a piece of paper that shows a lot of numbers that you may or may not understand what they're telling you. So over here, like on this on the left and the bottom, you can see this KPI, and this is really what I want you to see, is that, okay, I've got 12 KPIs on track, and I've got 5 that are off track. So now I can go and I can focus on those 5 KPIs and things that are important to me and say, oh, why are they off track? What do we need to do right now to change those trends in order to run my business more effectively? So if you've got some inventory costs, for example, that are out of whack, it's like, okay, hey, this vendor just, you know, changed their prices by 15%. That's why we're out of whack on our KPI. So do we need to go and look at a different vendor now so that we can get these supplies from somewhere else at a lower cost? So those are the types of things that you can do with KPI reporting that you can't do on a regular basis with financial reports. So really understanding what's important to your business and driving these dashboards so that you can see what's important to you. The other thing is that with these reporting packages, you don't have to be the CFO to get a dashboard. Okay, if you're in charge of a department, you can see just the KPIs that are important to your department, if that's how you have your accounting system set up. So it's really broad-based in the sense that you can delegate, so to speak, and hold people accountable for their departments and for what they're doing. So for example, a sales department, you know, they may have KPIs that are only associated with sales. Okay, and so each salesperson may want to have their own so they can track their own sales. So they know exactly where they are all throughout the month, and they know, okay, what do I need to do to meet my goals? And that's the, you know, the thing that these KPIs can really help you is that if you've got budget considerations and things like that, that you really can track these budget to actual performances as you go versus waiting for a period in time. So all of this automation and all of these things culminate into this one feature. And these are the kind of things that you ought to be looking at in order to run your business, is these KPIs. I can't stress enough how important these are. And if you don't understand your KPIs, there's ways to, you know, invite your accountant to view these dashboards with you so that they can go over them. You can get them set up the way you want them to set up. You can find out what's important to you if you don't know what's important to you. We can help you understand the financial data in order to create these analysis. So we're coming to the end. I know I've got plenty of time, so we will have you know, some time for questions. If you know, just type them in the chat. You know, other items to consider. Don't we all wish we could pack like this with a one-touch button? I don't think the laws of physics will allow us to ever do that, but sure does sound good. So other things to consider: training. You have to be able to train your people, especially with the new technology. So you're going to have different roles and different responsibilities with your people, and training is a very key point in this purpose in order for you to get to where you want to go. So you've got additional maybe costs, some costs, maybe some not. Sometimes there's free training, you know, just depending on what you buy and what technology that you use. A lot of them come with videos now and things like that that you can get trained up on. But you want to make sure that you take advantage of all the features as you go. So once a year, you may want to set aside a day for someone to go in and say, okay, what are all the updates have been for the last year or something like that, so you can take advantage of it. Another thing that you may want to consider is procedure manuals. A lot of companies don't have procedure manuals for their accounting department on how to process a bill or how do you do things, so that, hey, if one person that's doing all the AP all of a sudden has to move to Ohio, now you've got to hire someone else. They're coming in cold, there's no transition, so they got to figure it all out. Well, these procedure manuals, even if it's at a very high level, can help you transition jobs and responsibilities, even if it's just for a week if somebody's on vacation. So those are very important in the process to understand, okay, what are your processes, so nobody is coming to you and saying, oh, hey, how do we do this now? Because that's where the breakdown in communications, really can damage, a process. So next is cost benefit. You always want to do a cost benefit factor analysis in order to make sure that you're doing the right thing. So you don't want to solve a $5 problem with a $100 solution. So if it doesn't make sense from a cost perspective to implement a certain technology, okay, well, let's look at something else that may help you, maybe not as much, that may be more costly, more cost effective rather, and moving the organization forward. But you do have to outweigh some of these technology costs with, once again, are you at the point where you have to hire someone else now in your organization? Well, okay, maybe I don't have to do that, and I can repurpose the person I already have because she's a great employee or he's a great employee. And I know they can do this, I just need to free them up with the time to do it. And this is really valuable to me, much more valuable than what we were using. And so we're going to save, even overall, we're going to save 25%. Okay, so there's cost benefit analysis on what you can do with the technology, the additional costs that you're going to have, but the additional time savings that you're going to have and be able to do other things to work on your business is sometimes really unmeasurable. And then finally, once again, I mentioned it before, the perpetual innovation. It should be part of the process always. You want to be able to ensure that in 10 years you're not back in the Stone Ages, because right now all this stuff that we're implementing will be Stone Ages 10 years from now. That's how quickly these things are changing within our environment. A lot of people say, oh, accountants will be obsolete and things like that. And no, we won't, but we'll be repurposed. We'll be doing different things and helping you understand, how to run your business and how to, run your financials. And so the perpetual innovation part of this, it has to be part of your culture in order to go through this, because once one person breaks that chain, then you're going to go backwards. And, you don't want to do that. You don't want to bring in a new person that is not looking ahead to the next, opportunity to save time and money. And that's really these other things to consider when embarking on this automation process. It can't stress that enough. Okay, so finally, how can we help? There are two ways that we really can help you in order to transform your department. First, design and implementation. We can help you document your process. We can help you, figure out what your needs and wants are, what really is important to you, and then help you design a system and bring in the technology that supports all these objectives. The other way is obviously outsourcing. Outsourcing decisions certainly depend on what kind of business you're in, what your situation is. I mean, outsourcing is the #1 growth area that we're seeing in the accounting field across all, the entire country. And people are having trouble finding people, qualified people to work in their accounting departments. And so they're really turning it over to the professionals so that they can get this automation almost automatically in a turnkey solution. We as an outsourced provider, we have these things already in place for us that we implement into your business, And so that it's almost turnkey for you. And then also it's a lot more cost effective than hiring people, for a full department. Sometimes it can really be, you can able to focus on running your business and doing what is best for you. So, a doctor doesn't necessarily know how to run a business, but they know how to operate. And so let you do the things that are important to you, and let us do things that are, that we are experts at. Our industry, like I said, seeing a boom, and we're seeing everything from transactional processing all the way up to outsourced CFO services and everything in between. And so we are really concentrating on being able to get the right information to you as a business owner in order for you to be more profitable. And in these times right now, being able to be automated, being online, all part of the plan right now is so that you can work from anywhere, and you can see these things from anywhere. So once again, that's really all that I have for the presentation. We've got about 15 minutes left, so I can take questions. Jeannie, do you have any?
Right now, I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions. I can ramble on for another 15 minutes. I don't know that people would want to hear me do that. But look, I'll part with this, if you don't have any questions. This is a process. So you really want to, like I said at the beginning, you want to analyze what your needs and wants are. You don't want to do them all at once. Okay, it's a process. Start with your core accounting system, then you go to AP, then you go to AR, then you go, you pick and choose your battles of what's the most beneficial to your company in order to get to where you want to be. This may be a 2-year process depending on how big your company is. It may be a 1-month process if you're really small. So just kind of depends on the plan that you have, and it's good to develop a plan and a timeline for all of this so that you do stay focused. You may need a committee within your organization or within your department to make sure that it is being focused on, because people don't like change. Once again, it's all about change management. So we really want you to be able to focus on your plan, and not just implementing technology. Looks like we got a question here.
Yep, so we have our first question. Nicholas wants to know, is there a good way to improve automation with QuickBooks Desktop, or do you need to use online?
All right, so that's a great question. I anticipated that question. QuickBooks Desktop versus QuickBooks Online. We in the profession have had this debate for quite a long time, ever since QuickBooks Online came out. I'll tell you that when QuickBooks Online first came out, it was horrible. It was atrocious. It was, one of those things that it's like, why would we ever use this? But I'll tell you, they are getting better and better. And it is really good right now, especially in this automation space. There are companies out, that are doing this automation, and it's very easy to do in an online environment because you can write what's called APIs, which basically connect 2 pieces of software within an online environment, much easier than you can do it within a network environment. So it's, so in a network environment, they have to have access to your network in order to implement some of these things. And so it becomes more difficult. And so companies really aren't, they're doing QuickBooks Desktop second. So they're going to do, the online and not even second, they're going to do QuickBooks Desktop, then they're going to do Sage, and then they're going to do Xero, and then they're going to do, and so they're going to integrate with all these things that are online, and then they're going to think about desktop. And so you really need to embrace, what is different about QuickBooks Online versus QuickBooks Desktop. You can't compare the two on the surface. QuickBooks Online is not meant to do the things that QuickBooks Desktop does. From an overall standpoint. QuickBooks Online is really meant more from a general ledger systems perspective. And so it's really keeping your debits and credits, and that's really it. And if you look at it from that perspective and needing to involve all these different apps for your automation, then you're going to get a better result than using something like QuickBooks Desktop. There just isn't that much available to QuickBooks Desktop for integration. I'm seeing more and more of it, but I will tell you that QuickBooks Desktop is, I mean, I'd be surprised if it's here for another 5 years. I really would be. They're not really concentrating on adding features to QuickBooks Desktop as they are QuickBooks Online. Intuit is very, very, you know, they have this very large initiative to get everybody off QuickBooks. I know they've gone to like subscription-based for QuickBooks Now, so it's good for 1 year as opposed to, hey, I can buy QuickBooks and use it for the next 5 years. So they're kind of getting their QuickBooks Desktop customers used to, okay, I can charge you every year now for this. So these things are coming. All right, what else we got?
Yes, we have another question from Sarah. She wants to know if there's a vendor who will allow you to only accept ACH. Their current vendor will give them a link that allows to bill the customer, but we can't control ACH versus credit card, and they don't want to incur those extra credit card fees.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the program that I was talking about, you can't pay with a credit card through that program. And so it's really ACH or an e-check. And remember, the advantages of ACH versus getting a check in the mail is A, you get your money immediately. B, you know it's not going to bounce back. Okay, so you really, you know, it's a much more effective way, and you're getting your money faster over a paper check. Certainly, you know, credit cards are, you know, people want the rewards and they want, you know, all those type of things, but it really is a very expensive way to do business, especially if you're not used to taking credit cards. Now, on the other hand, depending on what type of business you are in, okay, so for example, you know, I don't know if all of y'all grew up in the South and you remember that Waffle House used to not take credit cards. And when they finally took credit cards, they actually saw an increase in their revenue. I think it was like 20 or 30% in year one. So the cost of taking a credit card may or may not be beneficial to you in the type of business that you're in. Certainly, if you're in a customer-facing business, very retail-ish, you know, certainly credit cards are the way to go. People aren't carrying around ways to send you an ACH, but nowadays you got Venmo, you got all these different ways to send people money. But once again, looking at the cost of that is very, you know, is something that you have to look at a lot. I mean, we in our business, you know, have to look at that as well. Because that's how most of our customers pay, either by check or credit card or ACH. And so we want to be able to move, you know, off the credit card, I mean, because of the credit card processing fees. So that's a great question. But yes, there are things out there that you can control on how you get paid.
And Glenn, can I add as well?
Sure.
QuickBooks Online offers ACH payments or credit card payments if you send the bill electronically. And the ACH is a very small fee. I think it's like 50 cents a transaction. It's minimal.
Yeah.
So that's an option to, you know, as well as QuickBooks Online has that feature where you can choose, you know, only accepting ACH payments.
Right. Great. Thank you. All right. Anything else from anyone?
I've got one quick sidebar question I've just got via email here. So I know you've really skimmed the surface, Glenn. If someone has their interest piqued now after hearing some of these, you know, features and kind of areas to think on, they might be interested, you know, what's their best next step? Should they reach out to you? Should they do a little bit more digging? What do you recommend?
Yeah, you know, we've done a lot of digging. So, you know, save yourself some time and energy and give us a call. Here's my information. I've got my email address up there. I've got my direct line. You know, give me a call and let's set up a 30-minute phone call and talk about, you know, just where you are and what do you want to do. And even if it's just, you know, helping you map out, okay, where to go. I mean, we're not experts in all of these software. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm familiar with a lot of these software and what they can do, but still the the people who implement the software at those particular companies, they're the ones that are going to train you. They're the ones that are going to get you onboarded and things like that through, through services with us. I mean, we can certainly help integrate and do things like that, but the design plan itself, that's the most key piece when you start. And so we can certainly help, companies, just once again, let's have a little 30-minute consultation and see where you are. And then if there's something there that we can move forward with, then we can do that and we can help you. That's a great question. So next steps is, just give me a call and we'll be happy to do that.
Excellent. Well, thank you. If there are no additional questions, we'll go ahead and hang on the line here for just a few minutes in case there are any questions that do pop up. But for those that want to go ahead and get back to their day, we do appreciate you being here with us. We hope that you've taken something from this, and we'll certainly be in touch as we have more information for you guys on this and other relevant topics that might improve your business. So thanks again, and we hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I really enjoyed doing this, and hopefully you got a little piece out of it, even if it's just one thing that you can take away in your business and improve your business.
And thanks to you as well, Glenn. We appreciate, as always, you being here with us, and Jeannie, you as well. So thanks, guys.